So next we're going to do personification. And when you are trying to figure out if a technique is personification, what you're looking for is the fact that living characteristics are given to non-living objects or things. Now, the thing to remember here is that the only things considered to be living for the purposes of personification are people and animals. So even though things like plants and trees do grow and breathe and so forth, they're not considered living for the purposes of personification. So if a tree is described as whispering or growing or whatever, that would be considered personification. So that's an important point to start with. When I'm explaining personification, I always like to think of personification through the example of something like when someone personifies a car. So have a think about, this is kind of a bit of a typical one, like if a guy, usually a guy, personifies a car, and what they do is they kind of refer to it as a she, and they maybe give it a name and you can imagine they're taking really good care of it. It's not just, a bunch of metal and paint and an engine for that particular person. It's like a living thing, which is why they call it a she. And so what you kind of get a sense of there is that it really elevates the presence or like the importance of that particular object for that individual through the fact that they have personified it. So that kind of gives you a bit of an idea of what happens when you personify something, which is that you sort of like elevate its importance. You make it like a living entity, and it can also represent like a connection between say the person and the thing that's being personified. So obviously with the guy in his car, you can see that he's kind of got a relationship with it, and that's sort of signified through the way it's personified. So let's have a look at two examples here. So the first one is the fire was well into the second floor and had eaten its way to the roof. So the thing that's been personified there is the fire that had eaten its way to the roof. So if you think about the effect of that there, the fact that it's been given those living characteristics, it makes it alive. And given its eating away at something, it kind of enhances the danger and the presence of this particular raging fire that is eating away at the roof, right? So it's not just like an object or a thing, it's something that's living and doing something. And in this particular case, it's giving it quite a more prominent and probably terrifying image there. The next one here is the wind whispered in the breeze. So obviously a wind can't whisper, so you can see that it's personified. And it's quite then you think about what whispering is. So it's very kind of peaceful, soft, and that's the image that you're sort of getting there. So the wind is alive, and it's soft and it's peaceful. And so we get that sort of that imagery of it being like a real life presence. So the person that's hearing that or experiencing it, it kind of signifies the relationship that that person has towards nature, such that nature itself is speaking and whispering and having this kind of like gentle dialogue with the particular individual. So I hope that helped in relation to personification. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can get more resources for your subjects.